The precision rifle world is heating up with a ton of $500 to $800 front focal plane scope options, and the latest entry into this crowded field is the brand new Burris RT-25, a 5 to 25 power rifle scope, and so far it's putting people on notice. In this video, we're looking at this brand new scope, discussing what you absolutely need to know, and we're doing it all in 8 minutes or less. Let's go. The Burris RT-25 is the newest rifle scope from Burris, and it's specifically targeting the new and quickly growing precision rifle shooting world. Whether you're competing in matches or just at the range looking to stretch how far you can hit, this scope has two things that I consider essential for precision rifle shooting and for getting into dynamic shooting sports such as PRS or NRL. Those two things would be, first, having a front focal plane reticle, and second, having it be a Christmas tree style tree type reticle. With a front focal plane reticle, the reticle gets bigger or smaller based on the magnification that you're on. More importantly, the reticle hash marks remain constant no matter the magnification. This means that you can effectively use your reticle to correct shots, and then you can use the various holdover points in the scope to quickly make the adjustments without having to click in the adjustments. Now, what I'll typically do is sight in the rifle for a 100-yard zero and then use holdovers for both windage and elevation, unless I'm going to be shooting at extended long ranges or will be shooting at one distance, in which case I will just dial in my elevation. The reticle on the scope is the TERRIFIC SCR-2 Reticle, which was designed by professional shooters for match and long-range shooting needs. The reticle has 0.2 millirad hash marks and a very thin 0.1 millirad crosshair. The reticle gives you all the information that you want and stays unobtrusive where it needs to be. More importantly, in my opinion, the reticle is thin enough at full magnification, yet is still useful enough at lower end of the magnification range. This is a big issue for front focal plane rifle scopes, as many scopes suffer from having nice reticles at the high end and they're essentially useless at the lower end of the magnifications. On the other side, there are scopes that have nice reticles that are useful at the low end of the magnifications and they're simply too thick and too obtrusive at higher magnifications. In my opinion, the SCR-2 is just right, and it is by far my favorite reticle on a rifle scope so far. The RT-25 has a 5-time magnification range that goes from 5 to 25 power. The magnification ring is also super smooth, and it's helped by this terrific throw lever. On the RT-25, you have numerous channels that are cut into which you have inserted a metal fin. Now, the fin serves as the throw lever, and it is movable to any position that you want, and it's by far a nicer solution than just having a metal strap strapped around the magnification ring. Now, moving back, the fast focus eyepiece is also super smooth to adjust, and this is what you use first to make sure that the reticle is in focus before you make any other adjustments. The parallax adjustment with the scope goes from 25 yards out to infinity, and it is also super smooth. The eye box is fairly forgiving, and you have right around 3.5 inches of eye relief. Up front, the scope has a 56mm front objective, and it is built on a 30mm tube. Now, the scope will allow in plenty of light, however, it will be a bit limited on internal elevation adjustment. The tube allows for 65 MOA, or just about 19 mils of internal elevation adjustment. This means that with a 100-yard zero and something like a 6.5 Creedmoor with a flat base, you should be able to dial in for about 1,000 yards. You can and probably should get a canted scope base to give you an additional 20 or 30 MOA, and of course the simpler solution is just to simply use holdovers in the scope reticle. In the reticle, you have holdover hash marks for an additional 20 mils, which combined with the dialed in clicks will let you get a 6.5 Creedmoor past a mile, depending on where you're shooting. The turrets themselves are actually fairly nice. You have 8 mils of elevation adjustment per rotation in 0.1 mil increments. The turrets are fairly tactile and fairly audible. However, they're not as super sharp or tactical as in some other scopes like the Arkin SH4, the Vortex Venom, or the Element Titan. The scope does have a zero stop, which lets you quickly get back to your zero without having to look at the dial. So, how's the image quality? The image quality is surprisingly good for the price point, especially considering the street price. I've so far shot with this scope out to 750 yards in some fairly tough conditions, meaning hot, humid, and tons of mirage downrange, or basically environments where you really don't feel like you want to go shoot, but you're gonna go shoot anyway. Now, out to 300 yards or so, you should have no issues whatsoever distinguishing between bullet holes, and you'll be able to see individual hits on steel out to 600 or 700 yards. The scope is nice, it's bright, and it's vibrant, and there are no major color shifts. I was also quite impressed with its sharpness, being able to distinguish between a shot-up steel plate and a berm behind it at 330 yards, something that's a bit more tougher for a few more expensive scopes that struggled with it in the past. Of course, this is certainly not a $2,000 Leupold or $4,000 Tangent Theta. Once you crack the zoom up past 20 magnification and approach 25, the scope does start to lose brightness and clarity. Furthermore, at full magnification, you start seeing some distortion around the edge. Do note that any through the scope footage you see for any scope does not tell the full picture, as you're losing significant resolution and clarity with the camera you're recording with. Take it all with a grain of salt, and ultimately you may want to see through the scope yourself. Bottom line, and is it right for you? The Burris RT-25 is a very welcome scope to the low to mid-price precision rifle market, and it's certainly a scope I would recommend. The image quality is on par or above what you would expect at this price point. However, the real value here are the additional features that you won't find on other scopes, namely the reticle and the super awesome throw lever. You also get locking turrets and a zero stop, which is not always something that's a given with others at this price point. This scope is for you if you're looking for a front focal plane reticle rifle scope and are looking to get into PRS or NRL 22 and are on a budget, or are a long-range hunter and someone who likes to hold over their corrections. You should look elsewhere if you need an illuminated reticle, are mostly shooting on low magnification, or you predominantly dial in your clicks. There are other scopes where you can dial in for more internal elevation adjustment. So that is the brand new Burris RT-25 and what you need to know in 8 minutes or less. If you're interested in the scope, go ahead and check out the initial impressions and unboxing video linked up here, or the complete optics playlist linked down here. And if you've seen our videos more than once and you're still not subscribed, what the heck are you waiting for? Click on that button and click the notification bell to receive up-to-date notifications on our latest videos, including the follow-up to this scope. As always, I appreciate you watching, keep on squatting, and I'll see you in the next video.